so I'm just filming this page again, and I'm going to have this alongside the empty sheet that's here. I'm going to use also the whiteboard to figure that out. And also, I think we're pretty clear about the ladder, the picture of the ladder that I showed you again. Looking at that very clearly to remember the equivalences. A is La, B is Do, C, C is Do, D is Re, E is Mi, Fa is F, the only two that have F, G, Sol, A is La, the second one that has an A, because Fa has an A, but Fa is F, and then C, which is, or B, which is C, and then C, which is Do. So if you remember that like that, it's very important that you know the English letters. We're in English school, so we have to know. And a lot of things are in English, as you can see, like the chords in the charts there, you know, C, A minor, D. Those are all in English, even on the other chord charts that you see in classroom. So if we go here, we're going to use this particular whiteboard that I have, that we can figure that out really easily. So I'm just going to draw a treble clef, very simple way to do it. This used to be called a G clef in history, because if you look very carefully, it resembles an abstract version of a G. It kind of looks like a G, if you think about it. So it used to be called the G clef because this note right there is G. Then below, and we have our little middle C here, which is in between, right? Which is right in between that. And then we have the bass clef, which used to be called the F clef, because it's kind of like the F that's kind of reversed backwards. And then it's like, these are like, instead of having two lines, you've got two dots, and it's kind of become an abstract shape of this F. And so that note that is there is F. So again, I think a lot of you have seen the tricks. Notes on the lines, every good boy deserves fudge. E, G, B, D, F. And the spaces, F, A, C, E. So you can identify very quickly without even having to look at that other sheet, that sheet that we had. And this is obviously C. It's called middle C because it's the middle of the piano, okay? Really is the middle of the piano. F, A, C, E, okay? So that's the way they're happening by here is by thirds, because if I'm going from E to F, that's going by seconds. It's going by the next note, okay? E, F, G, A. If we're going line to space to line to space, that would be going to the closest note on those stairs that we saw, these particular stairs that we saw here on this thing, going up alphabetically, and then going backwards if we're going down from a high note to a low note. So it's very easy, actually. It's easier, I think, to count in thirds if you get used to it. We can practice that a bit. So F, A, C, E, going from F to A, that's the third because we have F, G, and then there's no H. The A replaces the H, right? So it's restarting A, B, C, D, E, F, and then G would be here, you know? So it's common sense, and you're going up alphabetically and then back down alphabetically. G, F, E, D, C, B, A, G, F, E. Then D would be here, and then C would be the next one, would be that one, okay? So you can find those pretty much quickly. Now, how would you find a ledger note? So if we go here, one of our first questions, the harder one, would be that particular bar. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The bar, the sixth question, or the bar, the sixth bar. They're all written as whole notes. So this one, if you can see very carefully, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's 5 ledger lines above the staff. So let's draw that here. Well, let's draw it on the staff. 1, keep it the same space. 2, 3, 4, 5. It's not quite the same space, so it's on a line. How can we find what that is? Well, I think it's faster. There's obviously a very more longer way, just to go G, and then the neighbor would be A, would be there, B would be there, C would be that one, D, E, F, G, A, B. Obviously the answer for that is B, okay? That's counting alphabetically, note to note from A to G. No H, right? Going up, G, and then A is no H, A, B, C, D, E. But that could be long. But if you go by thirds, if you're used to doing thirds, you can count by thirds. So you take the note that is the next one, the one that we know the most. Every good boy deserves fudge, the top line, and go by thirds. F, G, A, C, E, G, B. Right? So this would be obviously A. F, G, A. F is A is a third. Right? If you go here, we can practice that. We can see that. F, a third above is A. A third above is C. A third above C would be E. So we're doing that. F, A, C would be that one. E would be that one. G would be 1, 2, 3, would be 4 lines above, and then B, that one that we have there, it's a little bit lower. That's the same one. That's your B. Okay, so we're going to go and erase that for a bit there. For now. Okay, so that's how we figure that out. That's going up. If we go down, if we take one that is a question going down. So before we go on, these two tricks can be also translated. The tricks being every good boy deserves fudge, or every good boy does fine, or whatever other sentence you want to use. Then F-A-C-E, you can, that happens the next line or space below. So for example, you can find them very quickly. So that, for example, this E would be, being it's the bottom line, would be in the bass clef, looking like the middle C. That would be your E. Every good, so it's actually this, what's above there, but the next line below. See? E, G, B, D, F. The F clef. Remember the F clef? Every good boy does fine or deserves fudge. And then if we use the spaces, we bring this down to like what normally would be a D in the treble clef, but we're going to make it look like a D here. So the F would look like that, going up E, F. F is just below, so F, A, C, E. And you can see the E is the next one below the F. Remember the F for the F clef, the bass clef, treble clef, bass clef, low notes on the piano. F, A, C, E, F, and then G would be here, a third above E, right? E, G, going up. So now it's easy to go up, but what about going down? We could practice maybe taking this G and going backwards. A third below G would be E. And then the third below E would be C. We're jumping over one. A third below C would be A. A third below A would be F. So let's take B and just take a B somewhere and go down by thirds. Well, if you look very carefully, I'm not going to show you, but B, G is 2 below, so a third below G is E, a third below E is C, a third below C is A. So it's, you count up and down. A third above D, F, D, F, A, D, F, A. That's a D minor chord. The chords are built on thirds, okay? So let's take one that is a harder one. Let's take this next harder one. Well, there's one here. Here's what I want to show you. This one is actually, if you look carefully, it's 1, 2, 3, 4 lines plus a space below. Let's do that here. 1, 2, 3, 4 plus a space below. How do you figure that? Well, the one that we probably know by heart by now maybe is that D right there. So that D would be there, and go down by thirds. Go backwards by thirds. D, down a third would be B, right? So B would be this one. B, a third, so that's your B. That's D, that's your B. This would be your G. G would be here. Third below G, 2 below G, so going backwards. G, F, E, right? E would be here, so E would look like this. 3 plus a space, that would be E. But this is 4 lines plus space, so the third below E is E, backwards, C. This is low C. So you would have to write for that one there, low C. And what's really cool is if you look at that, one line below, this is your C, right over there. This is the same one as that one. You can then, this would be like your middle C, right there. This is the same thing. This one that's there is the same as your top line. So that would be your A, F, remember F is there, D, and then C. Voila. So that's E there would be this. That E that's like that is the same one as this one. Because you got that one line of that plus 2, 3, 4, 5. Or sorry, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 lines plus a space. And so that's the same note. This is the same note as that one. Exactly the same. You can write it in the bass clef like that, or write it in the treble clef with the extra lines. Let's go to a bass clef note, and then we'll finish up with that. I think we'll be pretty good with that. So this is how many lines below the bass clef? Let's count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines below. I'm going to draw that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How do you figure that out? What is that? Well, what's the next closest one going up that we know? That would be E. So we go backwards by thirds, or we count alphabetically backwards. Let's do both ways. So this we know is E, right? That's E. E backwards, going down alphabetically, well, is D would be here. C would be this one. B backwards, B would be here. B backwards from B, A would be this one. So A backwards from A, G, that would be G. G backwards, F would be here. And then backwards from F, E, and then one down from E is D. So the answer for that is D. Now that was counting not in thirds, but counting alphabetically, neighbor to neighbor, backwards. Or we can count by thirds going down. E, C, and then a third below C is A, and then the one that would be 4 would be F, and then the one that would be 5, like the one that's there, same one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, is D. So that's the same note. It's the same thing, equal, the same one. Okay, so that's how you figure those out. I think if you do it like with that procedure, keeping this in mind very clear, the steps I think is a very good kind of diagram for you to calculate, going neighbor to neighbor to neighbor or by thirds. And thirds are good to count because chords are built on thirds. Okay, minor and major chords are built on thirds, piled up on each other, played at the same time or broken up. So you can find those notes like that there. So that's pretty much it for the tutorial on how to find these notes. I think you'll do fine.